Welcome in to Texans Today, folks. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs. We're going to get into the latest Texans trade rumors in just a moment. But before we get this show going, help me get to 6,000 subscribers. I want to thank everybody who's gone down and hit that sub button so far and joining me on Texans Today. I appreciate all you, all the real ones out there who've subbed. We still have a long way to go, though. Let's get to 6,000 subscribers. We're only 125 away. Go down and hit that sub button for daily Texans videos. So, on today's show, we got a lot to unpack. 3 Texans trade targets, maybe a bonus one with this first one as the trade deadline approaches. October 31st is the NFL trade deadline. So, will the Texans make a move? Let's see. Let's go through my 3 Texans trade targets that I've been hearing rumblings about. The first one, Courtland Sutton, wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. Look, the Broncos suck. They are a dumpster fire, so they could be having a little yard sale action. Put out the signs in front of the stadium, yard sale this way. That's what the Broncos are dealing with right now. Trade rumors around a lot of their roster. They already released Frank Clark. They have trade rumors around Jeudy. Also, around this guy right here, Courtland Sutton. Could the Texans get a discount on a pretty decent wide receiver? Let's see. We talked about Jeudy last week, about the Texans possibly trading for the Broncos wide receiver, but could they go in the other direction? Could they trade for Courtland Sutton instead? Here are their 2023 stats so far. Courtland Sutton, more targets, more receptions, more yards, 4 touchdowns to 0. Obviously, Jeudy, a lot of those yards going off that 146-yard reception that he had. And in their career, it's been a little bit of the same. Courtland Sutton, a lot more receptions, yards, productivity out of the former SMU product than out of Jeudy, the wide receiver out of Alabama. So, my question is simple to you to start off today's show. What would you do? You're Nick Caserio. You're sitting there. You're like, hey, do I make a trade? What would I do? You're on the phone with the Broncos right now. They're saying you can either trade for Courtland Sutton, Jeudy, or you can have neither. What would you say? Let me know in the comments section. Type CS for Courtland Sutton, JJ for Jeudy, in for neither. You're going to get hit with the YouTube ad break right here. Go down and give me your answer. My answer after the ad. My answer, I'm going neither. Unless it is a true fire sale, unless the Texans are getting a receiver like Courtland Sutton, Jeudy for a 4th, maybe a 5th round pick. I don't think the Broncos are ready to do that. So I would not be ready to trade for one of those guys. I wouldn't want to trade for Courtland Sutton or Jeudy and give up a 2nd or a 3rd. That's just too rich for my blood. I love what the Texans have in DeMeco Collins right now. He is an emerging wide receiver 1 in this league. His connection with C.J. Stroud is undoubtable. So why mess that up getting a guy like Courtland Sutton, getting a guy like Jeudy, who, arguably not great locker room guys from what we've seen so far, especially Jeudy. Seems like he is not happy there in Denver. Why give up premium draft capital when you have a young guy in DeMeco Collins who can play ball, who is the wide receiver 1 for this team? I just think, if you're going to use draft assets like this, go out and get a receiver in the NFL draft. Or there's a couple big names in free agency this year. I wouldn't give up top draft capital for a wide receiver at this moment if I'm the Houston Texans. Next up, a possible offensive line trade target. I know we've all been talking about the Texans' offensive line. It has been battered and bruised all year long. So coming up, I'll get into a possible trade target along the offensive line. But first, got to show some love to our sponsor on today's show. It's Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. How you play, it's as easy as this. You choose 2 or more players. You go on their stat projections and just choose more or less. It's as easy as that. Prize Picks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. Easy as pie. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Here are my picks for this coming week. Texans on a bye, so I had to get a little bit creative. I kind of wanted to find some, good good money plays, I'm picking the more on Tyreek Hill, 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. I think Tyreek Hill is going to find pay dirt this weekend. He is too good. Give me the more on Tyreek Hill touchdowns. James Cook going up against New England. They've been bad. They've been very bad without the GOAT, Tom Brady. Give me more on his rushing yards, 53.5. Gardner Minshew, I'm going less. The Browns defense has looked really good. 218.5 pass yards. Give me less on that. And Alvin Kamara, lastly, 29.5 receiving yards. Give me more. Give me more on that. And you can do that as well with the $100 deposit match. Just go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. Let me say that again. prizepicks.com/CLNS and code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. And I'm having fun with Prize Picks. I want y'all to have fun with me. So get in the comments. Let's play a little Prize Picks with me. What do you think? I made this as one of my selections for this Sunday. What do you think? More or less than 29.5 receiving yards for Alvin Kamara against the Jaguars. What would you do? We've seen the Saints. We've seen the Jaguars. The Texans, they've played both these teams already. I'm going more. Alvin Kamara, a big threat to catch the ball out of the backfield. Give me the M. Give me more on receiving yards for Alvin Kamara. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. As promised, an offensive line trade target. It's Michael Onwenu, the offensive lineman from the New England Patriots. Now, he's had somewhat of a down year, has been battling ankle injuries this year. According to PFF, an overall grade of 46.1, run block of 52.2, pass block of 55.5, and the Patriots, they suck this year. They are bad. So could they want to move on from Michael Onwenu? Possibly. I mean, it might be a little bit of a steep price because if you look at his prior years, you go to last year, PFF grades, an overall grade of 79.3, run block of 89.9, and a pass block of 69.8 on over 1,000 snaps. That's great. Oh, I was reading the next one. An overall grade of 79.9, run block of 73.1, and a pass block of 83.1 on over 1,000 snaps. You go back to 2021, even better. This is the one I was reading beforehand. A total snaps of 647, a grade of 87.0, run block of 89.9, and a pass block of 69.8. He is a very good offensive guard in this league. And you look at the Texans' depth chart at the moment. Right now we have Tytus Howard playing left guard in place of Juice Scruggs, Jarrett Patterson at center, Shaq Mason, George Fant. This offensive line, it's been decent, but you notice the one thing about Michael Onwenu. His best grades were in the run blocking department. That is where the Texans struggle the most, is in run blocking. Dameon Pierce, not able to get going. Devin Singletary, not able to get going on the ground so far. So, I mean, you get a guy like Michael Onwenu able to, get a little run blocking going. I know Juice Scruggs is trending to play next time the Texans get on the field. I know he's looking a little bit better. He came off short-term IR. Maybe we get Juice Scruggs back. But if you're able to get a really good run blocker, a really good mauler on the inside, we've already seen with these Texans with the offensive line issues they've had, with the injury issues they've had. It never hurts to have great offensive linemen on your team. And if the Patriots are willing to give up a player like Onwenu, I say go out and get him. I have one more target for you folks at home, but before I get to it, I want to know from you. I did wide receiver, offensive line. I'm little sneak peek. I'm going to defensive player with this next pick. But what would you say is the biggest positional need for the Texans right now? What position would you trade for at the trade deadline? Let me know down in the comment section. Is it wide receiver? Is it offensive line? Is it maybe defensive line? Is it in the secondary, linebacker? Let me know what you think down in the comment section right now. Defensive player, I'm going with a cornerback, Jaylon Johnson for the Bears. I think, the Bears, they could be bad. Depending on what happens this weekend up against the Raiders, the Bears could be like, you know what? F this season, we're done. Caleb Williams train, here we go. They could be on full-time fire sale mode. So, could they be willing to give up a cornerback in Jaylon Johnson? They've put a lot of draft capital. They put a lot of stock into this position in recent years. Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, among other young corners that could be replacing Jaylon Johnson. Could the Texans swoop in and get this guy for maybe a third-round pick? I don't know. I think if this does happen, it means one thing. I think the Texans, they're not necessarily all the way out on Stingley, but I think if they make this move, it's saying, you know what, we don't think Stingley is our CB1 of the future. He could be a good cornerback. He could be a solid secondary player. We saw with guys like Kareem Jackson, who came into this league for the Texans, did not have a good first couple seasons, and then made the transition to safety and was an excellent defensive back for the Texans with his time here. Could Stingley be on that path where he's just a little bit of a late bloomer, not a CB1, not ready to step in and guard the best guy on the other team right away? Possibly. And Jaylon Johnson, his numbers have been up and down throughout his career, but the talent level is there. Jaylon Johnson is a good cornerback, in my opinion. You go back, 15 PBUs his rookie year in 2020, 9 PBUs, 7 PBUs. He's able to get some pass breakups, only 1 interception in his career, so he's not necessarily a ball hawk. But I think he's a long, lanky receiver, 6 foot, 195 pounds out of Utah. I think Jaylon Johnson is a decent cornerback option for the Texans if they're looking for a trade. The Bears could be willing to give up. They're building for the future. I think, realistically, if they lose to the Raiders and they lose their next game, they are definitely going to be going for selling at the trade deadline. I believe Jaylon Johnson, an intriguing name the Texans should keep an eye out on as the trade deadline approaches. Now, thanks for rocking and rolling with me on today's video. I appreciate all my Texans fans out there. If you want more Texans content on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, go down at Jeremy Chuggs. Follow me on Twitter. And I'm only 125 subscribers away. Let's get to 6K, baby. Texans Today. It's the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube. Join the wave before it's too late. Go down and subscribe today.